Hello, my name is Melinda Stobbs, and I am from the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, housed within the School of Education at JSU. Today I want to talk to you about diversity in the area of multilingual learners. Multilingual learners are also known by other things, such as EL, English learner, ELL, English language learner, ESL, English as a second language, LEP, Limited English Proficient, FEP, Fluent or Fully English Proficient, NEP or NES, Non-English Proficient or Non-English Student, ESOL are English speakers of other languages. But my favorite terminology for talking about our multilingual learners is found over here on the right. Bilingual, multilingual, and plurilingual are common terms you will hear today, and CLD, culturally and linguistically diverse. The reason I like these is because it still focuses on the culture of the student and recognizes them and their culture as being important. And by the way, all students are English learners or English language learners in America. So moving on, one of the things I found here that I think is important is everyone smiles in the same language. And that was said by George Carlin, a famous comedian years ago. And one of the things that your students, all students, need to see when they come into your classroom is a smile, because that can help bridge a lot of gaps between you and your student, and between you and your culture and the culture of your students. And so it is important to be that friendly face for your students, especially those who feel like they're in a very unfamiliar setting, as many of our multilingual learners do. When we talk about English learners in Alabama, you will often see that term, English learners, or ELs and ELLs. The majority of our ELs in Alabama do speak Spanish. There are some pockets where there are just a few ELs, but then there are some systems that do have quite a few or a large number of ELs. The top 3 languages spoken by ELs in Alabama are Spanish, Korean, and Vietnamese, but we do have about a total of 100 different languages represented in Alabama for our EL population. It is recommended that each student designated as EL have an individual English language plan, an IELP, and it is important to follow through with that because we are mandated to meet the needs of our multilingual learners. If a language other than English is indicated on the home language survey that your students will complete each year at the beginning of the school year, then if they're in grades K through 12, they will be assessed for English proficiency using the WIDA Access Placement Test. I found an interesting article that came out last year on Montgomery County schools and their struggle that they were having with such a large English as a second language population coming in. In fact, it was causing quite a bit of strain on the system because adequate funding and training did not exist, is according to the article. As the article continues, it went on to talk about how the school system needed about 20 more ESL teachers to meet the needs of their students. And so one thing you need to understand is that all teachers who serve our multilingual learners are responsible for helping these students, not just an EL teacher or an ELSL teacher. All teachers that teach our multilingual learners are responsible for helping them to progress in school. So how can you do that? Well, one of the things I want you to realize is there are resources out there. The Alabama State Department does have a few resources online, but Wisconsin University has done a great job of providing the WIDA model that is available for all the states to partner with. And Alabama is one of the states that partners with WIDA. And so we have access to this resource library, and it provides a lot of great resources for you as the teacher of multilingual learners. One of the things that you will need to obtain is a copy of that access report we discussed just a minute ago. So once a student has been identified as an English learner in the state of Alabama, an access report will be done. And so this access report will give you a lot of good information that will help you to come up with some of the can-dos and some of the adaptations that you can implement to help your students. The report will give you 4 main areas of information. Information on the domain of listening, the domain of speaking, the domain of reading, and the writing domain. And those 4 main areas are what you will look at to help your students. It will also provide some additional information. But here is a targeted area that I want you to look at. Here are the 4 domains, and then here is the proficiency level. Now these are not grade levels, these are proficiency levels from 1 to 6. And we will talk about that in a minute. And then here it gives you a general idea of what they can do at that level for this particular student. Now the report can be a little bit challenging to read, so WIDA also has a guide that gives you information that the access report is telling you, and it will help you to disseminate some of that information. Of course, if your system has an English language teacher, she will also help you and talk with you about some of the things that you can do to help your learner. But you will also want to realize that she can't be with you or he can't be with you all of the time. So you're going to have to do a lot of things on your own as well. And this access report will help you. WIDA also has some great can-do descriptors for what your particular student can do at the level. Now, the report we looked at had some at level 2, some at level 3, and actually one domain was at level 4. So here you would look, here's the listening, here's speaking, on down would be your reading and writing. And you can see what different things that they can do in this particular report is for grades 3 through 5. Also, they give you some English language proficiency standards that you will want to include in your lesson plans, because we want our English language learners to develop and become proficient in the English language, as well as our science, our social studies, and our math and language arts. So they have developed some English language proficiency standards for you to add to your lessons to help them as well. This area is often the highest that they will perform in, and that is the social language. And instructional language can be a little bit difficult, but you will want to give them some information and help them in that area. But then, of course, we have our different content areas that we would include. And building language in those different areas is vital for all learners, but especially for our multilingual learners. And here is an example of the English language proficiency standards. Here, once again, is the social and instructional language. And here we have, for kindergarten, some great ideas. If they're just at the entering level, or if they're moving up, beginning, developing, expanding, or bridging. You don't see any at level 6 because that's where they're proficient. These 5 areas are where we will want to be making those special standards and accommodations to our students, giving them those can-do moments that they can be successful in helping to move them forward. And then here you can see this example in social studies. At grade 3, if they are just at the entering level and their English is extremely limited, then you would simply have them match some labels with basic terms to photos, and you would see that they would be partnered. In fact, these first 4 are going to have a partner because we realize the importance of having our multilingual learners carrying on those conversations with our English speakers. And so as they progress, the more English ability they have, the more we can do with them to kind of push them further. So let me share a little bit with you on the WIDA site. If you go to wida.wisc.edu and you look on the resource library, you will find some great resources, and you can filter those resources either by keyword or by topic. For example, if you would like to have some more information on the Access exam, you can look at some different things that will help you with that. We have early years, different accommodations, if you want to bring in some family engagement, so different things, and you would just check what you would like to see. Some accommodations, you might want to look at the standards, and of course the can-do statements. Here we have the standards, instructional practices, and then if you want a guide for that, you can actually click that if you need more, and then you would apply it. And you'll see that you can get a lot of different resources for your, in fact, they have quite a few pages here of resources for you. For example, if you wanted to look at some of the standards, you could look at standards immediately. You can view them, or you could download them to print out. So I've given you quite a bit of information on working with our population, our multilingual learners, and I hope you will take the time to research the WIDA website, the Alabama State Department website for our ELL learners, and I hope that you will do a great job in meeting the diversity needs of our multilingual learners. Have a great day.